Hello and welcome to the October garden tour. Just wanted to give you a quick view of some of the really adorable pumpkins. Pumpkins this year in the white have been very hard to find here in Ontario. They're very popular. Found the only one that was at the store. I like when people stack them. I also have some ornamental cabbages, some of the peppers, a grape leaf vine that I created myself. I love the warty pumpkins. I think they're full of fun. And of course I have my same stump that I've been using. You can see that the actual arrangements that I had for the summertime have lived their lives. This is the final day of October and I will start to undo all of my urns starting this weekend. But I wanted to show you different parts of my garden and how fall is still a beautiful time to enjoy your garden. So in front of me we have sedum, autumn joy. Turns into a beautiful color, goes from like a chartreuse color into this really nice dark purple color. You can see here the yellow leaves there. That's lily of the valley. And I have little lime hydrangea. I've got my cut leaf plants. Of course, everyone needs a scarecrow, but I like to have lots of texture and winter interest as well. That's why I have lots of evergreens. What I do is I trim these evergreens to do my winter baskets, and I'll do a subsequent video in about a week or so to show you how those look when they're all put together. I also want to show you all of my little succulent babies. I have repotted them all and they are getting ready to go over to my dad's, who thankfully has a wonderful greenhouse and has agreed to letting me store them there. I've actually had them in the garage for a couple of days. It's quite cold here right now in Canada. It is about 3 or 4 degrees right now, and we saw a little bit of snow or hail earlier on today. So these babies have just come out for this video. They'll go back to the garage and get over to my dad's right away. I don't want them to die after looking after them all season. Speaking of my dad, he actually built me this lovely arbor years ago. Another thing that I'll be doing for the winter is putting away all of my driftwood. I don't leave that out. We get too much snow and ice, and things like salt really do affect the longevity of your driftwood. So I'll just put that in the garage, and who knows, maybe this little baby here that I've been wanting to do a little project on and putting a succulent, he might just get made into a project over the winter. So storing them in the garage allows me to do different things over the winter. Let me just show you another part of the garden for winter interest. Here we have spirea. It's a nice little color. And that's burning bush. Gives a really nice color. Cut leaf Acer japonica. Unfortunately, I do have some powdery mildew that's set into some of my plants, so they need to be trimmed back. Here is the Tough Stuff mountain hydrangea. Color has stayed wonderful all season. It's probably one of the last days that I'll get to see these impatiens. One good hard frost and they are gone. So let me take you into the back. I wanted to show you the tomatoes because I actually can't believe how many tomatoes I have right now. It's kind of incredible because we had a nice little warm spell about 3 weeks ago and they pushed out a bunch of blooms. So I'm really happy to see that I actually still have a little bit of food that I can get from my plants. You can see. I'll be bringing these babies in. Some people pull them off and put them on the windowsill and try to let them ripen that way. I've also found it to be successful to pull the entire root system, hang it upside down, and they also ripen up quite nicely that way. You could see this is where I had all of the succulents. We'll just store that away for the winter time. Here's what's left of the kale. Just taking you into the backyard. You can see how the color has changed. It really creates all different colors and textures, and really just gives you a view to how you need to plan seasonality in your garden as well as the summer. So I've got lots of arches that sort of bring you in, and always a hose in my pictures. And the wind has been so strong all week long. I'm quite impressed that we still have leaves left. You can see here's another Acer japonica. This one is not as cut leaf as the first one. I think this is blood good or good blood. What I do with all these really interesting leaves is I have a leaf press and I press them and they become flat. I'll show some other videos on how I do that in another time. This particular piece of driftwood I do leave out all year long. I don't have to worry about shoveling snow in this particular place. What I do with all of these baskets, and particularly the clay ones, is they all go in my shed over here. I dump out the soil right in the garden so that I'm augmenting the soil, which I have clay soil, and clay soil seems to eat up any soil that you augment to it. So I do put that back right into the soil. I then clean out the containers and everything gets stacked. I can't afford to have all of these pots crack, and with the freeze and the thaws that we get here, we really do have to manage what we do with our pots. Let me show you what I do with them when they do crack though. So this is one that would have cracked years ago, and I just leave that in there, and those are homes for toads. Yes, they really do use them. It makes a difference. You gotta have places for the toads to hide. There's another one. I never feel that it's a messy spot of my garden. I feel that it's just providing different shelter for different types of animals. Again, because we've had a couple of cold nights, the garden isn't as spectacular as it could have been, but I wanted to give you a sense of what it looks like at this time of year. I need to bring this arrangement in. You can see how the jade plant has really changed color. It's really quite a lovely arrangement. I'm not sure how this part is going to last over the winter, but that's why you bring them in, you test out things and you see what works and decide what to repeat going forward. A little bit of water for the birds that are still around. Lots of the leaves have started to fall. It's Halloween, so there's going to be lots of good noises as the kids all come home. Here is a project that I never got to all winter. This is lamb's ears. The little leaves here are really quite beautiful. They're so soft. They really do feel, if you ever felt a lamb, they do feel like lamb's ears. They also dry really nicely. But I never got around to actually cleaning the stem. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have a ton of lamb's ears where I don't want them to be. But I was really interested this year to see what happened if I left them. What would happen to the base of the plant? What would the structure be like? And I suppose I could have done one little section to see what happened, but I didn't. Sometimes you just never get around to the garden chores. And you just got to live with whatever outcome comes out of that. So the big feature urn, I haven't been out here watering at all. So some of the things are kind of dry and limp looking, but it still has lots of color. The impatiens are really looking good. Again, another little Acer japonica, that's a cut leaf variety. And all the hostas have started to change color. You can see I still have really nice setup. Still lots of things to look at. Look at the leaves, the textures. When I do these urns, these become one of the winter urns that I do. All it takes is a couple of hard, cold frosts, and I do get a lot of dieback in the ferns. I've tried two different ways where I take the fern out and I do my winter arrangement, and I've had one where I've left it. The fern actually provides a lot of structure for the sticks to stay in. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do it this year. And you can see that things are starting to topple over. It really is going to be the last day of this garden. It's been really quite beautiful to see how long all the different plants last. And it brings me a lot of joy to just stick my head out and look at all the different pieces. We've taken down the umbrella, and what's interesting is that we do have an apartment building over there, but the tree that is in our way fills out, and it gives us an immense amount of privacy all summer long. So over time you can have trees that provide you with all different types of privacy, and then in the wintertime you have to figure out what you're going to do for privacy or use your yard a little differently. To give you an idea, the only thing that will be left on the deck will be the pots here in each of these corners, so the 3 of those. I bring in all of the hanging baskets, all of the pots over in the corner. This whole arrangement all gets put in the shed, including the fountain, and as well as all the little pots that are filled with herbs. The actual herb tower gets filled with some of the cuttings from my evergreens, and it sort of looks like a Christmas tree. So that's the garden tour for this month. Again, hope that you enjoy it. I'll try to give you a couple of tours over the winter time so that you get a sense of the winter structure. It's important when you're designing your garden that you think about all the different seasons. What does spring look like? Fall look like? Summer is so easy to do, but winter sometimes can be very challenging, and you need to really think about the architecture of your garden. And that's why we have the big urns, we have the big feature piece, we have the bright colored pink garden table set. It gives us structure and really interesting elements as we get different amounts of snow. So I'll be sure to show you those over the winter, and I'm going to add in a couple of projects along the way so you can see how we create our winter gardens, the urns, as well as some indoor things, because if you love gardening, you seem to never get away from the enjoyment of it, so you've got to do it all season long. Anyways, thanks so much. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe so you can see our next video, please do. Thanks a lot for joining me on my tours, and I really do hope that you find them enjoyable. Take care now.